I'll
Okay,
never win.
everybody, we will start. My name is Heather Haro. I am the CRO of DiversifyRx. I am joined today with Mike Vesley. He is our head coach, our uh, go-to for all things pharmacy related. And he's the best. He's fantastic. He will keep you on schedule, on tact. He does all of those great things that a coach does, except for Mike is more like John Wooden. He doesn't really yell, where I get more excited. Like I'm more of an excitable, probably throw my chair across the floor at you, but that's okay. Um, so, welcome to the Profit Playbook. Today, Real Value RX. If you guys know us at all, you know that we talk about them all of the time. So, Stephanie Zimmerman and Luke Gunderson are here with them. I will go through some housekeeping stuff and then we will get started. I will turn the floor over to Stephanie and Luke. First off, well, if my screen will work. There we go. If you have not gotten your tickets to the Pharmacy Profit Summit, go buy them today. It is going to be so much fun. I think I shared with you guys last time that we're going to have a mechanical pig that I cannot stop thinking about this mechanical pig. I think it's going to be so much fun. Instead of a mechanical bull, I found a mechanical pig like a piggy bank. So you guys can think I'm corny. I'm okay to be corny. That's okay. I love it. But aside from that, we are going to be talking about AI, hiring, delegation, workflow efficiency. This is going to be our biggest show to date, and we are excited. So if you have not gotten your tickets or want to learn more, go to pharmacyprofitsummit.com to learn more. If you have specific questions, feel free to email me, email Mike, email any of us, and we can answer for them. If you are already a member, make sure you use your member link. You get a members only pricing, and you don't want to miss that. Now, this is a sample or an example, of our profit matrix. And so I had a little bit of a hard time with this one. So Stephanie, you could correct me a little bit on this one, but I put you under the high margin prescriptions. I think that's where you best fall. Although Real Value RX could fall into a lot of different things, really with their gracious payment options and terms, you could really fall into cash flow as well. So Real Value RX, kind of hits a few
Because
on
we
these.
have, we have a lot of marketing materials and things like that you can use for your physicians. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm going to put it on high margins though, because that's kind of specifically what we're going to talk about. But in terms of real value, you could think of one or two, maybe three of these areas that they do hit. Speaking of our membership, so if you guys have been around with me long enough, which I have people that have been watching these the whole time. We thought, hey, let's give it a shot, and nobody would show up, and people show up every time, and I'm just so grateful and excited that you guys do. But Lisa gave me a huge goal, me and Ben, the marketing guy, a huge goal to get to 1,000 members by the end of November. And the reason that she wants that goal is because we've been able to accumulate a members only library of discounts. And the more folks that there is, the more that we can get great discounts, perks, even some swag from some of the companies for you and your team. But the bigger we are in numbers, the bigger we can really make a notch in the industry, as well as our networking. If you're not in our Facebook group, you do not have to be a member to go into our Facebook group. Go to our Facebook group and knock on that door, and one of our awesome VAT members will let you in. But just the amount of networking that you get once you are a member is worth it. And our entry level is only $100. So scan that little QR code on the bottom and become a member with us. Now, I've already kind of introduced them. But Luke Gunderson, he's the director of sales, and Stephanie Zimmerman, she is the director of business development for Real Value RX. Do you guys want to? Oh, no, timeout, timeout, flag on the play. If anybody has any questions, be sure to pop them in the chat, interrupt us, ask those questions as we're going. I want to be a voice for you guys. So any questions that you have, pop them in the chat or raise your hand, and I will get to those questions as the webinar goes on. You don't have to wait till the end. You can if you want, but you don't need to. So Luke and Stephanie, thank you guys for being here so much. Tell me a little bit about yourselves and what you guys do for Real Value.
Yeah, so I'm Luke Gunderson. I'm the director of sales. I manage the salespeople. I've been at the company for about 10 years. And every day I just work with independent pharmacies all across the country. And our goal is really just to help independent pharmacies thrive and grow through our flexible dosing items. And we'll talk a lot more about that as the presentation goes on.
Absolutely. And just a, excuse me, small note about Luke. He is one smart cookie. If there's a specific drug or a specific indication that you need switched, or you have a question about something in NDC, he is like a walking encyclopedia of all of the drugs that Real Value has. So if he calls you, it behooves you to answer the phone when he's calling, because he's calling for a fantastic reason, I'm sure.
I really
Go
appreciate that,
ahead.
Heather. And yeah, I'll give out my information at the end of the call. If
Sure.
anyone wants help implementing this stuff at their pharmacy, I'm fully available. Call me anytime.
Yep. Yep. Definitely. And Miss Stephanie?
Yeah, so I'm Stephanie Zimmerman. I'm the Director of Business Development for Real Value, and I help manage the sales team and a little bit of, I mean, when you work for Real Value, you have your hands in many, many different hats, and so yeah, we want to help pharmacies, and I've been in independent pharmacy for gosh over 30 years, and then I'll show my age, but as a business consultant and coach, I know what it's like to have low margins on your plate and things that you have to work through. And so that is one thing that Real Value does is we help you find those wins and help you become profitable and therapeutic finds for your patients.
Yeah, and if I could brag on Stephanie for a little bit, she's a great idea person. So if you have something that's not moving, or you can't get to a doctor, you're just stuck. If you call her, you can really get some great new ideas. Stephanie is a great idea person.
Thank
When
you.
her and I are together, it's just a like it's like Pigpen walking. It's just ideas flowing everywhere. So she's really 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 very knowledgeable in getting you unstuck with great ideas.
Thank you, Heather.
So tell us why you guys are here. I mean, I 100% know how great Real Value is, but give us just a little bit of how fantastic, not in my words, in your words, Real Value is and what they do for independent pharmacy.
That's a great question. Real Value RX, again, we're a pharmaceutical wholesaler. We've been in pharma wholesale for 20 years. We service probably 7 to 8,000 independent pharmacies every month. We stock everything. We stock 5,000 generics. We have controls, injectables, select brands. And really what makes us unique is we carry these flexible dosing items. And we'll get more into this, but we really understand who our customers are. These are independent pharmacies that are struggling and they need more revenue. So we place a huge emphasis on this. We're the only wholesaler that does this, that has all of these exclusive items that reimburse for you guys. And that's what makes us really special. I'd also like to add that we're fully independently owned, family owned, just like you guys. We really do believe in the future of independent pharmacy. So we've made massive investments into our company in terms of our warehouse, automation, robotics, hiring plenty of support staff for you guys. So we fully believe in what you guys are doing for the next 50 years, and we're set up for that. And that's why we carry everything. We have all the generics, injectables, controls. We also have these special items that are just for the independents to really help you out.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, let's just hop into flexible dosing. So I hear you guys talking about flexible dosing. Lisa's been talking about flexible dosing for a long time. It kind of
Hmm.
went not out of style, but buzzwords kind of come and go. And so I noticed that you guys lately, which I absolutely love because it's such an important part of dealing with high margin prescriptions. So let's just hop right into that. Tell me what it is, and how a pharmacy can use it.
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I know this has been around in the past. I think what makes this so different is the focus with these items is therapeutic benefit to the patient.
Mhm.
All of these products are high quality products that offer a unique therapeutic benefit. And that's our first and foremost focus with this. So let me define what a flexible dosing item would be. First and foremost, in terms of the molecule of the drug, these are items you already have prescriptions for, tizanidine, iconazole, hydrocortisone, diclofenac. We're not reinventing the wheel. These aren't those items you guys used to see where it's like a lidocaine ointment and a cotton swab in a box and the economics are crazy on it. These are very easy items to understand and explain to your doctor. The second thing that makes it flexible dosing is, it's in the name. It's flexible. So either it's a unique strength or a unique formulation. Maybe we go from a diclofenac sodium 50 milligram to a diclofenac potassium 25 milligram that's lower dose for the patient, easier on the patient, or it's a different formulation. Maybe we go from a oily ointment or cream to a foam or solution that quickly absorbs. The third part of it is these are unique items, and because they offer a unique therapeutic advantage, they're just structured in a way where the economics play out really well for the pharmacy. So again, they're patient-focused items, and you guys are getting rewarded for offering a nicer item for your patient that covers on their insurance.
That's fantastic. And so, is there about how many overall drugs kind of fit into this flexible dosing? Is it anything you can think of? Is it a very select few? Tell me a little bit more about that.
No, I mean, I would say right now we probably offer about 200 different options for our pharmacies. But these items are really catching fire with prescribers because prescribers understand the benefits. The payers are following suit, and there are more and more manufacturers who are catching on to this, so it keeps growing. I mean, we literally, I think this week we're launching a tizanidine. In a few weeks, we'll have a new strength of lactulose powder. So
Mhm.
every week, new ones are getting added. And it's a really exciting opportunity for the independents because, again, we have exclusive distribution on so many of these. We only sell to independent pharmacies. So if you guys are willing to go out and notify your doctors, hey, this is available, it's better for the patient, you can fill it at my pharmacy, it kind of creates a unique niche for you that, Walgreens, CVS, no one else really has.
Right, right. And you kind of said the magic word there, the payer. That's what everybody gets fearful of. So how does flexible dosing work with the aberrant list? Is it something that counts against it? Is it
Yes.
explain that part to me?
So I'm glad you brought that up. We get a lot of questions about audits and aberrant lists, and I'm sure everyone has heard, horror stories of a pharmacy that, got a huge clawback or a huge audit. Again, go back to our definition of flexible dosing. When you're prescribing these, you're really going to have to do your job as a pharmacist and say, hey, how does this make sense for the patient? These are prescriptions that are individualized, so if you're really looking out for what's best for the patient, we're not going to be switching every patient over to a diclofenac potassium 25 or a tizanidine 8 milligram. They're going to be sprinkled in, and it shouldn't create issues for you. Most of these items are not on the aberrant list. If they happen to be on the aberrant list, that applies only to CVS Caremark plans. So if you have customers on Optum or ESI, you really don't have to be concerned with that. And even if it is a Caremark plan, what it says is 25% of your revenue can't come from one of these items. So if we're really looking out for the patient, if we're sprinkling them in, this shouldn't become an issue for you. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, it surprises me how many folks truly believe that the aberrant list is really for all payers and for
Yes.
everybody.
Yeah, we had that happen at the trade show that we were just at. We had a person that had no idea, and they've been in business for a long, long
For
time.
a
So
long time. Yeah, I agree with you, Stephanie. And it always kind of shocks me that, well, I think it's just because we're so fearful of these payers coming and doing what they do best, taking money back or adding, all of the ABC uh, clawbacks and fees and things like that. That we don't ever get a moment to settle down and realize this goes here, this goes here, this goes here. Um, so speaking of, if anybody has any questions about the aberrant list, pop them here. But Luke is making my job pretty easily today. He just said audits. So what have you seen audits? And then what do we do if we have them? Um, or are people being audited on these types of drugs? Give me the lowdown on audits.
So what I would say is if you're running an independent pharmacy, it's not, am I going to get audited? It's, when am I going to get audited? You guys are already dealing with a lot of audits. And again, we aren't talking about switching every single prescription. We're saying, hey, we have a patient who isn't fully responding to, let's say, the hydrocortisone cream that they're on. They're not fully responding. You're going to go to your prescriber and let them know, hey, there's this hydrocortisone 2.5% lotion. It absorbs better. It leaves less residue on the skin. You're looking into the individual needs of your patient. And I think as long as you're doing that, everything's going to be okay. We're not talking about switching everyone over. And again, you guys are going to get audited. It doesn't matter if you're doing this or not.
Right. 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 There, you know what? I hear that often from compliance folks, Lisa. Just everybody across the board. It's not if, it's when.
Absolutely. It looks like Heather froze up there.
I have a question for you, Luke and Stephanie. Do
Yeah,
you find a
yeah.
lot of prior authorizations having to be utilized for drugs like this? And then do you have like Stephanie said, can you help with some of the language and discussions
Any
to help?
want in them to be able to
Heather came back. Heather, you froze for a little while.
Uh,
oh, I did. Sorry.
you totally froze, Heather. But
I asked a question, Heather, about
that's
prior
actually,
authorization.
I'm really glad that Mike is you asked that question because again, what we find is that the prior auth rates aren't really much different than other products. Of course, some of them are going to be prior auth, but again, all of these are totally unique products that offer a clear, easy to explain benefit to the patient. So if you have to work with prescribers, it's not hard. If we're offering a flexible dosing option where the patient goes from taking two tizanidine to one, and it makes them more compliant, it improves adherence. That's something that's easy to work with to doctors. And the feedback we hear, from pharmacies that are going out to detail, or we work with some manufacturers that detail, is that prescribers really like these items. They really appreciate that these options are out there and that someone's informing them. So they're willing to help you guys work with them.
That's
That's good.
awesome. That's
Thank you.
awesome. So, when I froze, did anybody hear? Did I at least look pretty, or did I
You
look
looked great.
goofy?
You looked great. It was very
Yeah, you're
flattering,
posing
Heather.
yourself.
It was
That's
very
good.
flattering.
Thank you for hopping in, Mike.
Thought you were a pirate, but everything's okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's fantastic. Well, look, I thought I was doing a good webinar, but here I am. Heather's back.
Well, you were kind of like this, like in a Heisman pose. So
Oh, see, football.
it went with the theme,
Perfect.
right?
That's it. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So, along with audits, people are also worried about rebates. And we advocate very strongly not to play the rebate game. But there are still people who definitely use the rebate games. Does it affect um, the rebate game? And what about the GCR? Does it affect that at all?
That's what's really amazing about these items is the big three do not stock them. So they do not care if you buy one of these flexible dosing items with us.
Mm.
And, if you're with a primary wholesaler, if that's the only way that you buy, this is a great way to like dip your toes into seeing what's out there. And there are like you just said, there's amazing things out there. Most of your contracts, you're allowed to buy 10% outside. And if you want to do a price comparison, we can sit and do numbers with you. But there are massive savings to be found if you want to go mercenary and you want to just start buying from whoever's cheapest. But yeah, the big three do not care about these items. They don't stock them. And we actually heard something really interesting at NCPA from a few of the larger groups that we sell to. I think some of the big wholesalers, they're no longer going to count creams, ointments, topicals. I think it's called non-oral solid,
Um,
something like that. That's not going to go against your GCR if you buy outside on those. I'm sure that's not 100% across the board, but the
right.
one they did bring up to me with is McKesson, which is very exciting, for everyone.
Right, right. Well, and I mean, there was a clue. You've said exclusive 17 times.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, if you guys want, and again, the focus of this is flexible dosing.
Right.
But we stock thousands and thousands of generics, and our pricing is incredible. I'm sure if you guys are on PrimeRx Marketplace or, if you're on EsriRx or whatever, you guys notice, most of the time, Real Value RX is the cheapest option on the cheap little bottle of levothyroxine. And if we're not, we're in the bottom quartile. So if you want to start working with us like that, we can help you. And then we can identify a few of those drugs you're getting a lot of prescriptions for. If you're getting a lot of methylcarbamol or diclofenac or dicyclamine, we have flexible dosing options on those drugs, and we can just naturally start working our way in.
I love that. So, what you're saying to me is you're going to physically consult each pharmacy individually. This
Ah,
isn't Luke's not saying buy these 7 drugs and then hope and pray that
no,
you find patients for them. He's saying I will consult with you, we'll figure out the places that we can help, and then we'll merge ourselves in, which I love
ab-
that. I love that.
absolutely. And I want to add, it's totally free. All I ask is that you order from us. If you're going to order one of these items, order from us. But if you need help with materials to go out to doctors, if you are in, Virginia and you want to know, hey, what are other Virginia pharmacies having success with? And can you kind of give me a template of what's working? Just call us. Go to realvalueproducts.com or realvaluerx.com, sign up. We'll get you a product specialist. I'm happy to talk to literally anyone and we will get you going on this. All of this flexible dosing, this isn't a program we're trying to sell you. We're not consultants. We're just a pharmaceutical wholesaler. You guys are our customers. We know you need help, and that's why we're doing this.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Speaking of, okay, so I'm sold, Luke. I
Okay.
100% am going to, which by the way is a free account. So I'm going to sign up for my free account with Real Value. Then I'm going to have a consult, and it doesn't have to be the pharmacist, right? It could be the buyer, it could be the clerks. This doesn't have to be put on
Absolutely.
the pharmacist to do that. So we
Absolutely.
should get that out, delegate, which I struggle, so I get it, but this could be delegated. Another thing though, okay, so my pharmacy's in. What next? How do I get physicians on board? If I do market this, like tell me the next steps once we've had a consult and we've found some patients that I can therapeutically change. What happens next?
There's a variety of ways we can do this. A lot of people, they'll like to send like a redacted dispense report just so we can see, hey, where you got it getting a lot of prescriptions. But usually what we do is we just have a conversation with you. There are categories where we have a lot of these items, and they're the categories you guys are getting prescriptions for. NSAID, muscle relaxers, supplements, PPIs, things like that. We have drugs for cholesterol. We identify those segments where there's, options that we have flexible dosing on. Oftentimes we'll look, where are you located? Are you in New York? Are you in Texas? Are you in Oregon? And we can see, hey, what drugs in those categories do we see purchases on? Where are we getting some traction? and we'll make suggestions to you. And when you're ready to go out to your physician, when you sign up, you're going to get access to, our full catalog of marketing flyers. We will get you for your staff. We have a great catalog, and we probably should. I wish we could upload it or somehow send it to all of the Diversify customers, but it's literally all of our 200 plus items broken down by disease state, and you can just see what's there. And there's marketing flyers on the website, and you guys go out and promote these to doctors. Now, I know a lot of pharmacists, either they don't have time or they're nervous about going and talking to their providers. And I know once we get people doing this, it's usually universally a very positive experience for them. Again, unless you're living in like New York City or a market like that that's very heavily saturated, doctors aren't really used to hearing from their pharmacists. And I mean, when they hear from someone, they're used to hearing from a drug rep who has usually no pharma background whatsoever. You're the most trusted voice in healthcare when it comes to this stuff. So if you go in with a flyer and you have an item that's very familiar, more information, help Mrs. Jones, they're going to listen to you. And I know time is also an issue, you guys, and that's totally understanding. Totally understandable. Again, like you, Heather, you can delegate if you have a farm tech, if maybe your wife or your husband is really charismatic, maybe they can go out and market for you. But if you're the person filling the prescriptions, let's just do the math. And I mean, how much are you guys making on your average fill? Maybe one of the flexible additions to farm is worth 200 normal generic fills. So it's just a matter of looking at your time and money, and it's worth it.
That's
Just to
fantastic.
second that, Heather, you said I was full of ideas, so I want to give you guys one idea to think about. You guys you have your software, you already fill prescriptions, you know exactly your whole database. Go through your database and pick your top 5 medications. If it's a Flexeril or a metformin, as Luke said, take those medications and who writes for them, and think of that as your lead list. Because realistically, you have it right there in your system. You have a lead list of your physicians, you have a lead list of the top medications that you fill. So metformin, for instance, if and I always use this one because I taught diabetes. I actually had a wellness center with diabetes focus, and I know metformin was a medication that really, really had a GI upset, and people struggled to take that medication. So if we can cut out one of those doses, because obviously we start them at a 500, metformin 500, titrate up, and my gosh, they're taking 4 to 5 pills. We have, a 625 or a 750 milligram strength. And if we can cut out one of those doses and you're profitable and we're therapeutic for that patient, it's a win-win for everyone. So who or which doctor writes for those? How many patients are on it? There's your lead list for both sides. And then now let's think about, just there's a few patients that would be, beneficial to take in a different dosage. It's just a small vehicle change. And
I
so
love that. Well, and it makes you think in terms of not every single prescription that comes in, you have to go hunt down every single doctor. It really gives you a place to focus and to start rather than feeling like I have to go talk to every single doctor in my town.
this is a narrow
It narrows
focus.
it down. I love that. I love that. And it makes it more doable, right? Like it makes it more doable, and having a smaller list. Stephanie, I know you're really good at this, is it gives you an opportunity to build relationships with those doctors. So you're not just going in there asking for something or giving them, sometimes it's hard to talk to doctors because they feel like they already know everything. And so you have to build that relationship and they have to begin to trust you
They
for,
only know what they know from the drug reps or whatever. So yeah,
yes,
it's just here's another way, and you just have to open their eyes and show them the benefits of the specific drugs. And there's so many of those. That's just one of them. And as Luke was telling you, there's many, many more. So therapeutic and beneficial to the pharmacy. So therapeutic to the patient, beneficial to the pharmacy. So we
I
can
love
And you,
help you, you save pennies, yeah, for the retail items, and we can also help you be profitable. And then therapeutic for the patient. And those are the three things that we know that as a pharmacy you're worried about. Gosh,
Right.
am I going to stay alive because I'm not making anything? Is my patient taken care of? And I need to save pennies here and there and everywhere. Sure, we can
Right.
we can do
Right.
all of that.
Right, right. And I love that. And I love that you guys are willing to really consult. And forgive me, Luke, I'm not trying to say that you guys are consultants. I love what you said, that you are just a company that wants to help their customers. And I believe that. I believe that you guys genuinely, I mean, there's not even like a bait and switch where you have to order this much to get this much or whatever. There's like
No, there's no
no
rebate,
game
no
playing with you
contracts, all
guys.
the
Yeah.
pricing's up front, very
Very
easy.
transparent.
And
Very
we
transparent. Yep.
try to make this as easy as possible too. I know we're talking about hundreds of different flexible dosing options and all these different things. If you can go out and just get one or two of these scripts, it can really just change the whole trajectory of your pharmacy. This isn't something where you have to totally reinvent the wheel and install a new software system and go through trainings and all of that. If you can just go out and get a few of these prescriptions this month, it could change the whole trajectory of your business. Because again, there's a large return for you guys, and you're going to start building relationships with these doctors, and it's going to be great for you.
I love that. I love that. Do we have any questions? The crowd has been quiet today.
I know, I know.
I never know if that means we're doing super duper awesome or terrible.
To be questions because this is really unique. I mean, this is an opportunity, as you've mentioned, to get um, a unique product on in the patient's hands that they didn't have access to. It's, as you said, it's just a matter of a simple conversation or data review. Stephanie, you
Yeah.
said if you go into your system, you might find those patients you've been troubled with. Now you have a success rate.
Right.
Exactly. I know I emailed you over a couple of
Oh,
products, Heather and Claire. This Xanaflex, it sounds like a fancy brand. All it is a tizanidine 8 milligram. And I mean, if anybody out there in the audience, if they have, people on tizanidine and they're taking more than one pill, or you have them on the 6 milligram and they need 8 milligram and you'd have to write for two fours, obviously an 8 milligram is going to improve adherence. We think this is going to be a huge item. We're already hearing from our, veteran flexible dosing customers that, there's great coverage on this item, even on, state plans all across the country. This might be a great one to start out with. Now, again, it's literally brand new, and depending on your pharmacy software in your state, maybe it hasn't started to get flagged in your state, but I know in New York, California, where things are usually a little ahead of the curve, this one is picking up and it's a brand new option. This might be a good one to look at. And again, how easy is it to call the doctor and say, the doctor wants the patient to take 8 milligrams at a time and you're writing for two 4 milligrams. Hey, doctor, did you know there's now an 8 milligram and it covers on Mrs. Jones insurance? And, could you just write for this one? You might not even have to send the flyer. It's just so simple.
Right.
And I think I also sent
Okay.
you
yep. And then
an iconazole foam, Heather, which is just a really, really cool item.
yep.
Again, everybody probably has a lot of antifungal prescriptions. You probably have people on iconazole cream. Think about how much nicer an iconazole foam is going to absorb for your patients. And we know how important adherence it is when it comes to antifungals. If the patient misses one dose, it could throw everything off. So anything you can make it, anything you can do to make things more comfortable for your patient, easier, is going to help. And this is just a super nice product. And your doctors are going to be thrilled because you're literally getting a nicer product for the patient, that's completely covered by insurance. And if they're on commercial, obviously there's a $75 copay card there. But I encourage everyone, write down the NDCs, check and see if this would be a fit for any of your patients. But we literally just launched both of these, I think, in the last 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And right now it seems like we're launching one of these almost every week. And when we launch them, they're covered, they're easy explain to doctors. And if you sign up, we can have a product specialist call you and just let you know these things become available. I'll throw my cell phone number in the chat if you just want to talk to me. I'm happy to talk to you. But this is just something we can do with you guys.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Do we have any questions? Luke, I think you explained it all so well that everybody just totally gets it.
Well, that's very
It was
nice of you to say.
clear. There's
That's
no doubt
very
about
nice of
that.
you to say.
It is very clear. I don't think that we've left anything um, unturned. Is I know that those compliance questions are always the ones that folks really get fearful of and really want to know the
Yeah.
information on. And I think I said this before. I can't talk about how great Luke is. When you start to talk to him, you can tell it's his passion. He will.
Yeah, well, it's so sad. We spoke. I can't remember who we were talking to at NCPA, Stephanie, but it was a lady that owned, I think, 20 stores, and she was telling me that the pharmacy managers will call her and say, "I made $30 on a prescription. I think I did something wrong. Can you check
Yeah.
it for me?"
And
And it's just very sad because independent pharmacy is so important. I mean, you guys do such a great job of taking care of your patients. You got into this industry. You didn't get into this industry to just, count pills and be fearful of PBMs. This is really here to empower you to get better drugs for your patient. And so you guys can get rewarded for utilizing your expertise. And I just hope everyone can take advantage of this. Again, we're Real Value RX. You can go to realvaluerx.com. You can sign up. It's totally free. We're not going to harass you with a million phone calls. Somebody's not going to call you and say, "Oh, I can save you 25 cents on the metformin," and just reel off 80 drugs. We're really just here to help you guys find better options and have more profitable businesses.
I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. And in the replay, we'll be sure to put Luke's information, Stephanie's information, how to sign up for Real Value, and of course, I'll add those two flyers that Luke kindly shared with us today in the replay email, so you guys can
And
get
I'm
all.
gonna send you our catalog
Sure.
to Heather. And again, it'll have everything. It has all of the items broken down by disease state. And
Okay.
just when you're looking through this, if you see if you see diclofenac potassium, go pull up how many patients do you have on diclofenac sodium 50? Did you know the potassium absorbs better? Did you know that doctors usually don't want to overprescribe on NSAID, and just start
Mhm.
reaching out and showing the doctors? And again, one or two of these can change the entire trajectory of your pharmacy.
I absolutely think that you don't have to change your whole catalog. Um,
Heather?
Luke kindly put his cell phone in the chat, everyone, but I will put it in the replay.
I,
Thank you
I
guys.
just
Oh,
had a quick
so
question. Will our folks who plan to attend the Profit Summit get to meet Stephanie and Luke if they haven't already?
they absolutely will.
Absolutely.
yes.
And
Absolutely.
I will say that the Real Value RX booth, they will take the time with you. If you come into chat, they'll take the time with you. They are not a let me scan your badge and you run along and I'll call you later and bother you when you're getting 100 other exhibitors calling and bothering you. They'll take the time right then and there to sit down and chat with you. I've seen it multiple times at our show and other shows. Can you order from other platforms instead of Real Value RX?
That's a great question. Yeah, we have all of our products on PrimeRx Marketplace, Esri. They're all listed there. I just know if you're shopping on there, they're not going to bring these new launches to your attention. If you're living in a state and we know something, like if we hear something works in Missouri, we're going to call everybody in Missouri and let them know. You're not going to get that ordering on the platforms, but we do sell them on all of the platforms, and we're grateful for each and every platform, order that we receive.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I'll just be the interpreter of Mike's "but why." Mike's "but why" is definitely because you don't get the hand holding and the love and I'm not saying don't order from those platforms. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is, if you're starting this out, if you have questions, if you have a question like Stephanie, here's my segment. Should I start here? You'll want to go to Real Value to talk to them because they will consult you and go through.
Yes, because yes, you can buy from the platforms, but you can also buy direct from us.
Right.
And yes, correct. And you'd get if you bought direct from us, you would have an account executive We work with you on how you want to communicate. And then, if there's anything, if there's an issue with a specific medication that oh, I forgot to add this to my account. There's a lot of different um, reasons, I guess, to use a direct account. But again, we also think so much, we're very thankful for anyone that buys from a platform as well.
Right, right, right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. I've enjoyed today's talk, and I think it's been so insightful, and also took away a lot of those questions that hold people back from going after some of these prescriptions. I want to say again, if my screen will turn, there we go. Get your tickets to the Pharmacy Profit Summit. You're going to get strategies like these all throughout the 2 days of our summit, and lots of fun. Our drinks, desserts, and drugs event is always just the funnest time of the whole year. We have a great time. And then join Badass University. Get the $100 membership. See what we're all about, test us out, book the call with Mike. Really try us out. We're happy to show you our worth.
I want to second that, Heather. The thing is, you guys get busy, during the day, and you have all of these plans and all of these things that you want to do. But I tell you, coaching, because we all used to be a business coach at PDS and things like that, but I mean, coaching is very crucial because it holds you accountable to what you need to do. And some of this, getting an ROI from even from our products and things like that, take advantage of that, because Mike is an excellent coach. Heather, everyone at the Diversify family is excellent. So I second Heather's thought on that. Make sure that you take advantage of everything they have to offer,
They
because
don't utilize this enough, Stephanie. They don't.
I
And
know.
it's tough because I learn from them as much as they learn from me. And that's the whole process of, we want to brainstorm together. There are things that you're afraid to do. You guys see that just in these new product lines. Why would you not find a
With that
patient for this product line? Because they're probably in need.
can
Just sign.
help you stay alive. So
right.
And I think what's great about your organization, I'll never forget. It was like the last year of PDS, and you guys put everyone in buses and shipped them to the Top Golf. But if pharmacists want to thrive, and we're in a very, very tough industry, you really have to fight back
it's
and
going to get
rattle the
worse.
cage and be scrappy. And that's what Heather and Mike and Lisa can teach you how to do. So yeah, I encourage everyone to take advantage of all of the coaching, all of the benefits that you get as being part of Diversify.
Man, thank you guys so much. Look at me, I'm blushing.
I don't know.
All right, everyone, we have hit the 45-minute mark. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you to all of my new friends that joined us today. And if you are watching this on YouTube or the replay, thank you so much for tuning in as well. I will see you all in 2 weeks. Have a great day. Bye-bye.